Hey everyone, welcome back. I am doing things a little differently. I would normally just do an interview blog post, but I did not want to type this out. I wanted it to be heard the way it was said so you can really hear everything. We're doing things a little different. As you know, I started a series called Baseball in Black America several weeks ago. And this has been something that's been kind of weighing on me a little bit because as a Black female and a fan of baseball and softball, it is always very interesting to me when I see that I am one of very few Black fans in the stands and the lack of Black players in baseball and softball. So today I have a sit down with AJ Andrews and we are discussing just all things. We're talking about having those hard and difficult conversations, and here's everything she has to say. So I wanted to sit and talk with you about something that's been on my mind for a bit. And back when all things happened with George Floyd and people were really starting to take a stand against racism and start promoting allyship and started posting the I'm here and I'm listening and we're ready to discuss, what was the one question that when people would reach out to you that you actually hated being asked?
I don't know if I hated being asked, but I hated more of these issues being rephrased or in some way trying to turn political. And so for me, it was more the fact when I would have certain conversations and when you would discuss George Floyd, the Breonna Taylors, when you discuss all these instances of just complete injustice where there really isn't much of a conversation that needs to be had. You know, I mean, it really is just a matter of your moral compass and what you see, whether you feel and truly believe something is wrong or not. For me, when people would say, well, I think we should keep politics out of things, or let's try to not to turn things political. That is one thing that really infuriated me because I feel as if when discussing human rights, I don't understand what is political about saying that you believe the individual deserves to live and deserves to have the same justices, the same amount of equality that other individuals in this country are given so freely.
Right.
And so that I would definitely say that was one thing that I really bothered me to try to have a conversation around or trying to stray away from and trying to, because when you say, I just don't want to talk politics, so I'm like, well, okay, we don't have to. I'm talking human rights. So,
right.
You know, that's really kind of one thing I would definitely say bothered me the most about a lot of these different conversations when people would try and make the notion that someone's life is political.
Yeah, because people would quickly be, well, this is the land of the free, and it's like we get that, it's written everywhere, right? Land of the free, home of the brave. However, it seems it is apparent that not everyone is so free here in America, and that's like one of those things that I'm always just like, okay, come on now. I know you see this. And so when all the organizations started stepping up and saying, we don't tolerate this, we stand with the Black community, all those things, I was waiting for Major League Baseball to say something. I was just sitting there like, okay, come on now. And then finally they said something and I was just like, did you copy and paste everyone else's statement and rephrase? So what were your thoughts as a Black female in softball? What were your thoughts on all of the stances from all the leagues?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you compare the different leagues and how proactive some are and how responsive others are. And for me, when it comes down to like the WNBA, I would say is probably the most pronounced league that is continuously speaking out against injustices that go on in this country, whether it is talking about LGBTQ rights or Black Americans or Hispanic Americans. They are truly on the forefront of every issue that is going on in this country, and they're never afraid to say what they feel. They always seem so unified and so together with these issues. And, you know, for me, I just feel like whether it's a male sport or women's sport, I feel like they are truly the league that is taking the charge when it comes to any of these issues in this country. And, you know, when I look at other leagues, like, I mean, just like you, I was waiting to see what people would say, if they would have anything to say. And for, you know, silence, I think speaks volumes. I think it's deafening. I think that you being silent about these different issues, not only do I feel a lot of people felt like they were maybe going unscathed, they're going under the radar, but for me, I felt like I saw you very loud, very clear, and it truly is disappointing and upsetting when it seems like a lot of people had certain responses because of the pressure, or not because they necessarily felt that it was necessary to make this statement. And so, you know, I mean, it's interesting because you always have to figure out who is being genuine and who is just jumping on trend. It's, for me, it's just, I think you can see it a lot in the statements though, right? The statements that specifically say Black Lives Matter are the ones, in my opinion, that truly believe in what they're saying. They have no fear. They're not doing this for this press release. They're doing this because they mean it. And then you have the ones that end with the I see you, I hear you, I'm with you. To me, it just sounds so much like in our thoughts and prayers. You know what I mean? Like it got to a point where it was just so redundant. And it was, I don't know. I think that I think if one thing we can learn as leagues all across, it's to jump on and be proactive the way that the WNBA is. And as for a softball player, it's such conflicting feelings because softball has never, ever been a league to be one of the people to stand up and say, we want to be agents of change. We want to be those people that are stepping on the line, towing the line, and not allowing these issues to come to the forefront, at least not being vocal about it. Right. And that's something I want to change, because I will never understand the issue of saying that people matter and that we want to make sure those people, those human beings, feel welcome, feel loved, and feel secure within the sport that they play. Yeah. And I think that a lot of individuals in a lot of different sports probably don't feel that way all the time.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you. I'm a high school teacher by day, and I look at the team at my school, and we have a very mixed group of students. And I look at the softball teams across the district. I look at the baseball teams across the district. And it's predominantly white players on these teams. And it's when I see a Black pitcher, I've taught a Black pitcher, or I see a Black female student, and they're like, oh, I play softball. I'm like, really? I get excited. And it's like, that's awesome. I want to know everything about them. I want to go to their games. And it's like, why aren't there more Black softball and baseball players in America? And how can we, and I say we, you and I and other fans of the sport, encourage Black young adults to play softball, to play baseball, when they might feel that maybe they're not welcome in the sport?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just the expense of the sport, right? The softball and baseball are expensive sports. It's not like basketball or football or different sports where you typically are just paying for the clothes that you're wearing and maybe one ball. With softball, you're paying for all the equipment, X, Y, Z.
All of that, yeah.
And so it just gets really pricey. But then again, like you said, representation is huge. If you don't see people that look like you playing a certain sport, you don't feel like it's a sport for you. Right. You look at swimmers, right? I think Simone Manuel, definitely one of those people that's paving the way for other African American girls to feel like, I can swim. I'm not going to be worried about my hair. I want to be an Olympian just like her. And, you know, for me, that's my charge, things that are extremely important to me, being one of those people that make other young Black women feel like AJ Andrews is doing it, I can do it. Yeah. And I think the most that we can do is continue to get in front of those athletes, continue to get in front of those young African-American people and children, let them know that they are who they define themselves to be. And they are not what anyone says they should be. As you talk about a Black pitcher, that is very rare. You step onto the softball field, people want to place you based on stereotypes, thinking everyone's fast. You're going to be placed in the outfield, they think you should be on the left side. And for you to walk in and say, no, I'm a pitcher, I'm going to pitch, and that's it. That is already defiance. That is already you paving the way for someone else to feel like they can be in that position. And I think that it is so important to be vocal about that, to be passionate about that, and to stand your ground. And I think the way that you continue to do that is to continue to get in front, having these conversations in the way that we are, getting these voices out there. You know, Natasha Watley was a huge inspiration for me because she was the only one that I saw. And if I could be that for someone else, it's so important to me. And the way to do that is to be seen. Right. And I'll share this one story really fast because I feel like it truly embodies everything that I'm saying. I played a softball game professionally. I think it was maybe my rookie season or my second season, and it was a terrible game. I don't know, I was probably 0-4. And I'm coming off of the field, and this young mom and her young daughter come up to me, African American, and she's like, "You're my daughter's favorite player." And I'm just highly confused. I'm like, there's no way. I had the worst game probably in my life. I think you're thinking of someone else. And then she proceeds to tell me that, no, you're my daughter's favorite player because she said, "Mom, look, there's someone that looks like me. And now on moving forward, you are probably someone that my daughter is going to continue to love just because you were on the field." And that was the very moment I realized it doesn't matter your performance. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters that you are there, AJ. And me being there is what is going to make other young athletes of color feel like they can get there. And then they can achieve and do more. And it just keeps building up and building up that confidence ladder. So for me, as far as making change, it's about getting in front of them, letting them know that it is possible and that they too can define who they want to be.
Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly because I was a swimmer growing up and there was no one that looked like me in my district that was swimming. And when I would come to school with wet hair, smelling like chlorine, because I went straight from the pool to school, people, like other Black students would be like, "What is wrong with you?" My hair would be up in a top knot all the time. And it's just like, well, that's my sport, you know, that's what I do. And now seeing people like Simone Manuel and all these people, and it's just like, where were you? I needed you. Yeah. Like back in the day. So I wholeheartedly agree that the presence of you guys out there will definitely encourage as well. And I just don't, how do I put this? It's frustrating for me even just as a fan of the sport, you know, getting people to come out. It's more than notion to get people to play, but to come out and to watch and to support is another, you know, issue. It's like Black people don't play baseball, Black people don't play, and it's just like, come on, guys. Like, have you watched a game? Have you actually like tried to learn about the game, or you know, just go to like a Women's College World Series game or wherever you are, you know, and at least get into it. And that's another thing that I want to promote and bring about is at least watching and tuning in and paying attention so that people can see you can do this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think one thing Black people will do is support other Black people. I think that is truly a fact and something that we all truly like to see each other win, because in this society where we are predominantly very oppressed in just about every field, right, you know, it's exciting to watch those individuals break through, and it's exciting to watch them excel at levels that maybe other people tried to keep them down in. And so, I mean, I think one amazing example would be Bubba from NASCAR, right? I mean, I don't know, there's probably so many Black NASCAR fans that would have never blinked at looking at NASCAR before a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But so I think that, again, it goes to being seen, it goes to being, to not knowing. A lot of people just don't know that there are Black males or Black women that are NASCAR drivers. A lot of people just don't know or realize the amount of Black baseball players there are, the amount of Black softball players they are. And it's about making people see and realize we are here. And if we have your support, we could go leaps and bounds beyond the success that we already have. But I think it's about being visible. So much is about being visible. I mean, there's so many people that probably never watched golf unless Tiger was playing. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact I don't really watch tennis unless Serena's playing or Coco is playing or Naomi Osaka is playing, right? So like I really like that's kind of the drive that a lot of people I feel have. And once you get to a point where you can put those people in front and say, oh, I'm an AJ Andrews fan. I don't watch softball, but I watch when she plays, right? I mean, I feel like that's the narrative that has to get built in. But the only way for it to get built in is for people to know that there is an AJ Andrews.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. I want to go back to difficult conversations. When you were a collegiate at LSU, did you ever have, or even in high school or even now in professionals, have there ever been a time where you've had to have a difficult conversation with a teammate or whomever where you had to say, I'm here, I'm playing, let's move forward, or how to be, an ally?
It's interesting. Throughout my entire career, I have not had to have any of those conversations. Wow. But when I was young, I was always on, and I was typically one of the only, if not the only, Black athlete on the team. But I think sometimes you just, I don't know if it's the area I grew up in, typically very diverse.
Yeah.
And I'm from Florida. And so, my white teammates, a lot of them were just they just got it, right? They had my back. There was no questions asked. And then you get to college, right, where I wasn't the only one anymore. There were, I'm going to say 3 to 4, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in softball, that's a lot of Black athletes, Black softball players on one team. Mm-hmm. And so from then, there was no issues in college either. It literally wasn't until this year on this team that those conversations had sparked and those realizations of these teammates wouldn't necessarily go to bat for me outside of this softball field. And, that was definitely a really hard pill to swallow because I'm just different. I don't think that way. I think if it was any other issue, if it was someone that was talking about gay rights, or if it was someone that was talking about Muslim rights, if you are someone that I care about and there's a community of people hurting around and you're part of that community, and you ask me, AJ, I really just need some support. Done. You know what I mean? Like I don't, to me it doesn't make sense. I'm like, you got it. Like, what do you need me to do? I will be there for you. And because I guess maybe it's because I don't look at it politically. I look at this as a human being standing in front of me. They're hurting. People that care about are hurting. If I can do something to limit that, please let me know what it is that I can do. And literally that's all it is. To me, in my mind, that's it's done. And so when you have these conversations with these teammates who, you on the field every day, you're working hard, not just for yourself. I mean, it's a team sport. Like, you are truly going to war with these people that you would hope would go to war for you. And when you realize when push comes to shove, they don't really care outside of the softball field, it's very disappointing because I don't get to walk off the softball field and get to, and my problems go away, right? I don't get to, once I leave this field, I'm going to be surrounded by other issues. Here is whether I get a hit or not. Outside of this field, it's me watching my back, making sure I can live another day. You know what I'm saying? It's very different realities. I understand that some people don't necessarily realize the privilege that they have in this world. But when you have individuals that are sitting down and trying to have those conversations, I was trying to have the conversations, you know, trying to let some of my teammates know how they can be allies, trying to give them perspective, because sometimes, you know, some people just aren't analytically driven. Like, you can give them statistics of these issues, but it doesn't really hit home until you hear a personal story. And
Right.
so, you know, for me, it was kind of, I felt like, if anything, I'm not going to ask you to go research and do a whole bunch of Google links. I would hope that you would, but if you really just want to understand, I will give you personal references of things that happened in my life so that you can see it through my eyes. And, you know, when it's interesting when people try to have these conversations thinking that they're being more objective, but in reality, it's almost as if you're denying my humanity by trying to limit the things that I'm saying and trying to minimize them, when I'm literally giving you my life experience. And for you to tell me that, you know, trying to make it some polarizing topic doesn't necessarily make sense to me. So I think these issues definitely hit ahead, of course, with everything that's going on in the country. And, you know, maybe I would have had these conversations prior had these issues arisen prior. But, you know, it was, for me, it was just a little disappointing because a lot's happened in professional softball, at least this season, right? With This Is Us and the team that I was playing on USSSA Pride, not being able to play due to a tweet that went out from the manager of This Is Us that a lot of the girls didn't agree with. And, you know, I just feel like I want to get to a point where softball doesn't need a catalyst to stand up for injustice in this country. I want to get to a point where we are saying this isn't right and we have something planned the way the NWSL had, the way WNBA had, the way NBA for sure will have once they come back. You know, I mean, there's just the way MLB has had, you know, and I think that my goal is to get to a point where softball will care just as much before something ignited that. You just care about someone's well-being, and that the individuals on this team have to deal with circumstances that maybe you don't know about, but you're saying that I want to understand so that I can be of help. You know, that's my hope. But yeah, it wasn't until this year that those conversations had to have been had, and characters were revealed. Yes. And you just find ways to maneuver around that. It's just I'm very much a just say like it is bold person, and you know, it's kind of, when people talk about we can have differences and still be friends, with, of course, unless those differences lie in the in your moral compass and in the fact of denying my humanity and rights and justice in this country. If we disagree on those two topics, we cannot be friends. And it is what it is. You know, it's not a difference in politics, it's a difference in morale. And there, I don't know how to have conversations with people that don't have the same morals as I. So that's kind of, it's a hard place to be in, especially when you are on a team with certain people, and you know, chemistry and culture of the team is so important to the success of it. But I mean, in my opinion, those are things I'm just not willing to budge on.
Yeah. Oh, I hit the unfollow button a whole lot in the month of April, May, June. So it's just amazing how the character really comes out when you start having conversations, and you're just like, wait, where has this been? Have you felt this way the entire time? Like when we're hanging out, you know, doing all sorts of things, if something were to pop off, you're going to leave me by myself? Like, oh, okay, great. I'm so glad I know that now. And it's been very eye-opening. And on that note, last thing, what would you say to the Black softball player that might be in 9th grade right now that's just like, I'm a little discouraged, I'm the only one on my team, and some of them don't get it? What would you say to her?
Absolutely, yeah. I would definitely want that softball player that may be the only one to know and recognize her eminent beauty and value, not just as a softball player, but as a person. There is absolutely that. I want that young Black softball player to know their eminent importance and value as Black women, not just on a softball field, but in life, in their day-to-day life, and that there's absolutely nothing anyone can say or do to diminish your value as long as you recognize it for yourself. I think you need to always walk with your head held high, walk and know that you are truly something so special, and you can be so valuable to any and anything that you set your mind to. There's nothing that you cannot do, and never let anyone try to minimize or limit you to something specific if it does not fit who you know you to be. I think that it's important to realize, while you may be the only one, you are still someone that is going to make a difference, and there's someone that is watching you and is motivated and inspired by you and everything that you are doing on this team. Never feel like you are too young or too little or on a small team to not make a difference. You are making a difference in someone's eyes, and if you stay the course, if you continue, you are being assigned this mountain to show it can be moved. Don't ever feel alone, because while you may be the only one on that team, you are not the only one all around. You're not the only one rooting for you. We are all rooting for you, all rooting for your success. And if you make it, you're showing someone else that they can as well. And I just want you to know that you are so beautiful. I am so proud of all that you are doing, because you are truly making it a better place and putting things in better positions for other young African American girls to step into. And while it may not feel like that at the moment, you know that it makes you feel a lot stronger, and it makes the situation a lot better. Not everyone will understand, not everyone will even care, but as long as you are strong and definitive in who you are as a person, I promise it gets to a point where those things don't even matter. Continue to focus on your goals and the people that do matter and the people that do care, because that's what's truly going to get you far. Not the haters, not those individuals that truly can do nothing for you, your goals, or your life. Stay focused, know that you're beautiful, let that melanin glow, and go out in the sun and be the amazing athlete and person you are.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, AJ.
Yeah, no problem.
Was a sermon. We all felt that one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you taking the time out today. I'm so excited that we got to have AJ on and just really talk to her and just sit down and just have a discussion. This is something that I've been wanting to talk about, but didn't really know how to talk about it. And talking with AJ was just what I needed, and I wanted to share all of that with all of you. So let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want me to interview more players about other topics and just everything. Bye, y'all.